Wait, I'm curious, tell me
Um,
what you think the stigma is really quick around reincarnation. Like, what's the
um,
stigma?
I don't know, it just sounded crazy, like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a dolphin next life," and that's and I think we move from human to human energetically, and we get to experience different things, and I think maybe we choose what type of things we wanna learn in the next life, and we set up experiences, like, sometimes really hard stuff in order to learn those lessons.
Hey, what's up, guys? Ex Morgan with My Spiritual Life, and today I'm so excited because I'm interviewing Ariane Warlton, who not only is an amazing realtor in Utah County, Utah area, but she is also my aunt, and I love her so much.
Mhm.
I really wanted to do this video, and I'm hoping to do more videos like this where we talk about, okay, so you left the religion you grew up in. What do you believe now? How do you navigate the difficult aspects of life? And what kind of foundation have you landed on? What How do you practice spirituality? Those kind of issues. So I'm really excited to have Ariane talking with me today. So thank you so much, Ariane.
Yay.
Woo! And I just have to say, if you've been watching my channel for a long time, you'll see that I actually did a full interview with her and her husband like years ago. And to just talk about how awesome they are really quick. Ariane and Mike really took me under their wing when I came out here to go to school, but then especially took me under their wing when I left the church and I felt like I had no one, and they made me feel hope, and they made me feel loved, and like it would be okay. Whatever I decided would be okay. And it was a beautiful thing. And I gotta say, Ariane, you were some of my first really serious cognitive dissonance, because I remember thinking, like, Ariane really helps ex-Mormons, and like, but God shouldn't want her to do that. And I was like, but I have a hard time believing God doesn't want her to be nice to people that are having a hard time. So I was just like, I don't know, Ariane somehow is allowed to be ex-Mormon even if other people aren't. It was really funny.
Yay.
Good. Okay, so Ariane, give us a little bit of backstory about you, just like growing up Mormon, obviously, and just a tiny overview, and then we're gonna get into it a little bit deeper, but just like a maybe like a 30-second overview, and then tell us what you believe now, like a 30-second overview, and then we're gonna kind of dig deep into some of that transition, if that makes sense. So, like,
Okay.
just a brief overview, like you grew up Mormon, starting there.
Grew up Mormon, very Mormon family, rather judgmental. I have apologized, since to many people for things I did and said as a Mormon, right?
Right.
Um, 4 kids, we live in Utah County, which is very much a bubble for Mormonism, right? And he was drinking coffee, and I thought he was gonna go to hell.
And he
Um,
was gonna drag you down with him.
yes, yes, and I was afraid to leave the church because I was gonna become a slut and a drunk. Um, so there was some fears there leaving the church. But anyway, best choice ever made. Hardest thing I've ever gone through. I mean, my dad, passed away 15 years ago, and leaving the church was harder than losing my father.
Wow.
Um, you know, you know. I mean, just because it's so long and drawn out, and it's such a painful process, but also such a liberating process. So when I left, I think one of the hardest things was figuring out what I did believe, because Mormonism, I mean, they knew everything. They had an answer for everything. So now I was like, well, crap. I try not to curse on camera. Um, what do I believe, right? Is Jesus real? Like, I was a little angry about it because I was like, well, I just need someone to tell me what to believe and then I'll be good, right? But we didn't have that anymore. So that was a tricky time. What I've come to is that I would say I'm not stuck to one specific belief, but we do love Buddhism just because it's more of a practice type thing, and it's more like God is within you as opposed to God is some man, up in the sky. Um, I believe in some type of higher power. I feel like whether it's universal energy or I very much believe in that I have angels, and it might not be true, but it works for me and it gives me extra confidence and support in my life. So I still believe in something higher power, universal energy, love, connection, past lives, but it's maybe not so black and white.
Cool. Okay. So I'm gonna ask you this first hardball for you. When you were Mormon, do you remember how you perceived like viewing people with that belief, like that, like kind of past life stuff and the universal energy, Buddhism? Like, what did you think about those people when you were Mormon? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was pretty judgmental. I mean, I just thought I was better than them because I had the true gospel and they didn't, right? I thought it was weird. I hadn't researched it much. I, grew up with like Baptists and Christians and stuff in St. Louis. And so I saw other religions and I just figured we were the right ones. So, we were just better than them.
So did you view them as like what, evil or just wrong or ignorant or
I think ignorant. And then, like if they drank or smoked, then they were probably going to hell.
heck? They're going to
Like
heck.
like like I said, I've had to apologize to people for things I said in my past.
Okay, so I'd love to have you, if you could give us like kind of a short overview of like why you left Mormonism. And then I want to pick up from there and go like, okay, how did you kind of get into these other beliefs? And then we'll kind of break that down a little bit more. So if you could kind of
Okay.
briefly, and if people want to hear your
Yeah.
full story, I'll post the link where you and Mike
Okay.
talked about it. But
Sure.
yeah, just yep, yep.
Okay, so basically when Mike left, and I knew he was struggling for a while, so I would like tell them to give him callings so we were together and still keep him at church, right? Um, when he left, I expected all these things to happen that they say will happen, like he'll lose the light of Christ and he'll become angry and he'll bash on the church and so forth. And I expected
Right.
that, and that didn't happen. What he became more loving, he became happier. Um, I mean, he's always been an amazing husband, always. But like those things didn't happen. So right then that started make me question. And so I was in the Relief Society presidency and I started paying closer attention to things that were said in class. And there were people in the ward that suggested Mike and I were getting a divorce because he wasn't going to church. There were rumors going around. I saw how people within the church treated him. His parents were we're good now, but at the time it was rough. And there was one time where he went to speak with them and he came home and he looked like he had been just whipped. Like his head was down and he was like, "Honey, am I a bad dad?" Like, and it broke my heart. And also, I wrote his parents an email and was like, "No, you didn't. Like, that
Right,
is my
right.
husband." And I was still in the church, but they were treating him so poorly and they assumed he had committed some heinous sin and needed to go to church council and so forth. So I think for me, it was just like seeing how people treated him and how good he was to me. He was still really supportive. He was smart. Honestly, he was smart. He didn't bash the church.
Right.
And so that made me question.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and and then I started like journaling for hours and I came to the realization that, the war in heaven, Satan and Jesus, and Satan wanted everyone to follow these certain guidelines so that they could make it to heaven, and Jesus was going to give you choice. But within the church, how much freedom do they actually give you? So I was like, oh, and I was like, they tell us how to pray. They tell us what we can say, how to talk, how to dress, what we can eat, what we can drink. what we can do on Sundays, how we, what to wear when we exercise, when we swim. Like, I was like, it's Satan's plan. So,
It's like this big aha moment, right?
dude, it was my biggest aha moment. And I came
Wow.
home
Wow.
after I was sitting in a creek journaling, and I came home and I was like, oh, honey. And I can see like the mic was like the lights going on. Woo! You're so happy that like that was a big moment for me. But I was like, they don't give us any choice in the church. So
Right. Right. Right.
yeah,
Okay, so from there, obviously that's a very short version of like you leaving because obviously it's
yeah,
a really intense story. But
yeah,
from there, you get to that point where you're really sure it's not true. And then you enter that darkness, right? Of like, okay, wait, what do I believe? And it's
yeah.
exciting too. So tell me, how is it that you started to kind of find this new belief? And, how did you come to it? And did you like it right away? Or, was it like a gradual thing? Kind of just like paint that picture for
Yeah.
me.
Okay. So I still wanted something, like, I felt that gap of the spirituality, because once in a while at church, you'd feel the spirit, right? When someone was speaking from the heart or whatnot, and I still wanted that. So I started exploring other churches. I found one in American Fork, and, um, I went and I looked around, and there was such a wide variety of people there, and there were people in shorts and T-shirts and dresses and jeans, and there was, like, a coffee shop attached, and, I
Coffee
just
shop.
I know, but I just started to cry because I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's such a wide variety of people here, and everyone is accepted and loved." And no one's like looking around to see who's missing that day, right? No one's looking around. They are literally there because they want to be. At least that's how it felt. And when the praise music is going, they got their hands up and they just praise it, all of that. And I loved that. I felt so much with that. Now, what I found was once they got to the sermon part, they had a lot of the judgmental teachings that Mormonism did, and so I was like, I don't like the sermon. So I would go for the music and then leave.
Oh,
Um,
right, right.
yeah, and then someone told me about it's called a Deeksha Group, DeakshA.
Yeah,
And it sounded kinda weird, but I was like, I was open to trying whatever, whatever could
right.
help fill that hole. So I went to this group in, Pleasant Grove, Utah, and, it sounds weird, guys, it does, but I promise it's like a very loving practice. But you sit in a circle and there's meditation music on, and, these people we were these people would come to us and put their hands on our head and just hold it there for, I don't know, a minute or 2, and it was just like this loving human touch, and they call it a Deeksha blessing, so I was a little weird at first because 'cause I'm like, "Priesthood blessing, Deeksha blessing," hands on the head, but, like, no words were said, and because there were no words said and I just got it was just so much love coming from a stranger, it just filled me up. It was amazing, and so then I chose to become a Deeksha giver, and I went through, like, the 3-day course, and my 8-year-old daughter did, and my husband did,
Right.
and that kind of helped fill that for me, and then I also discovered Reiki, which is, energy work, and so I decided to, go through a course on that, and so I just do that for family and friends here and there. I don't do it as a business, but, getting into the feeling that we were missing, that, loving energy, um, that is what I crave now, and I don't have to go to a church to find it, I can do that within my own meditation or up in the mountains or whatever, um, but yeah, that's kind of what it looks like more for me is, just that connection to spirit and my angels and stuff.
That's so cool. Okay, so tell me, just kind of backtracking and comparing this a little bit. Like when you were Mormon and you're going to church, did you feel like you were feeling the spirit? You mentioned that a little bit.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think you can feel the spirit anywhere. That's the thing. They don't have
Right.
a, what do you call that? They don't have a
Monopoly?
monopoly. They don't have a monopoly on the spirit, and I feel like anytime someone was speaking from the heart and being very vulnerable, that's when you would get, like, the goosebumps and you would feel it, right?
Right.
Um, and that's what I was missing, and so being able to find that within my own practices and stuff, has been really important. So, yeah.
So, what you attribute to people, like, when you feel the spirit in church, what you're saying is you think when they're feeling that spirit, what they're actually feeling is, like, someone's, vulnerability and they're feeling touched by the vulnerability? Or do you think it's something divine that's touching them? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's something divine. I guess there doesn't have to be a label on it, but
Yeah.
I feel like they're feeling human connection. Human connection is,
Yeah.
like, the most powerful thing in the world, and, um, I don't, because it's like when someone's, like, crying when they bearing their testimony and all that, and when someone
Right.
cries, you automatically feel connected to them. You feel that vulnerability, and you want to connect with them, and you want to, be closer to them. So I feel like you're feeling human connection.
Okay. So did you ever feel like when you were Mormon, did you ever feel the spirit, like, tell you the Book of Mormon was true or tell you that God was real? Did you ever have those moments?
Okay, funny story. Um,
Okay.
I was in seminary, and they told us we need to go home and pray about Joseph Smith, you know?
Right.
And so I went home and I, like, prayed and prayed and prayed, and, like, I wasn't feeling nothing. And so I gave up and I was like, I know what it is I already know Joseph Smith is a prophet, so I don't need someone to tell me he was a prophet. I don't need that confirmation because I already know. So that was my answer.
That was your answer.
So I didn't
That
actually get an
that is
answer,
an
but I made
answer.
an answer. Yep.
Okay, okay.
Yep.
Um, yes. So do you have any, so would you say that you look at those spiritual experiences you had as a Mormon differently now? And if so, how do you see them differently? And you already mentioned a little bit because you're like, well, I kind of see it as more like human connection, maybe is what I was feeling. Do you have any
You
other
know,
thoughts about that? Feeling the spirit, like what was that? What was it that you were feeling? How do you
um,
perceive it?
I don't know, just like what I said. And here's the thing, like, like priesthood and all that. I believe that if we believe strong enough in something, we will get that answer, right? Like law of attraction type thing, right? So like I had experiences where I was in the midst of kidney stone attack, and it was horrendous. I was in the hospital and it was terribly painful. And my dad showed up and I asked him for a blessing and he gave me a blessing, and I'm telling you, immediately the pain was gone. And it was
Right.
gone for like
Right.
10, 15 minutes. And then the pain came back and I was like, another blessing, please. Right? There was no limit on blessings. And so every time he'd give me a blessing, I like the pain would be gone for a few minutes. And the doctor came out right after I'd gotten my blessing and he was like, there's no way you're having kidney stones because you would be writhing in pain. And I was like, well, my dad just gave me a blessing. And now I know how that sounds to him. Like, he's like, oh God. Um, but like, seriously, I think because I believed so strongly in it, and I mean, I believe that, I don't know, we call them God or spirit or universal energy. I don't know. I feel like I believed in it strong enough that it worked, right? So again, I think you can get positive things, from, sorry, I'm terrible at this camera thing. Priesthood, I'm on which direction do I go? Um, but I also feel like those things happen outside of the church. I mean, I did have a time
Yeah.
where, and of course, at the time I attributed it to like the Holy Ghost and stuff. But again, I think this is human connection and people listening to what others' needs are. But we were at the time really struggling financially, and I just started working at Texas Roadhouse as a server, and like we had no money, like zero money in our account, and my gas tank was on empty. And like I was pulling out of the driveway and I'd only been working there for a week or so, so I wasn't due for a paycheck for a while. And I just, as I got in my car and saw my gas light go on, I just said, God, like, I am doing everything I can. Like, I've got nothing left. Like,
Yeah.
I need something. I need some help here.
Right,
And,
right.
I pulled out I always get goosebumps every time I talk about this, but I pulled out of the driveway, I left, and then I forgot, like, my name tag or my apron or something. I run back, and there was an envelope on my porch, and there's $50 in it. And someone in the neighborhood between the time I pulled away from the house and came back had dropped a $50 bill off on my porch. And, like,
Wow.
I mean, you can't like, so that's why I say I'm like, I do believe in a higher power. I don't know what that looks like exactly, but or human connection, but like someone freaking heard me, you know?
That's
Because I mean that
beautiful.
happened within like a 3-minute time period and I needed it so terribly and it's meant the world to me. So at the time I was like, oh my gosh, because I'm paying my tithing, right? But,
Right,
like,
right.
stuff has happened like that since, and I'm not in the church, and we're doing better financially than we've ever done, so go figure.
Probably because
And
you have a 10% raise.
I did get a raise.
I'm just kidding. So as far as your belief in religions go now, would you say that you I mean, how do you perceive religion now? What's your take on religion? Okay,
No,
all right.
okay. Religion for me,
Yeah,
I don't want
yeah.
religion for me, but I do believe that many people can benefit. I feel like people that maybe don't have a lot of family, people that need community, maybe people with addictive habits that Mormonism kind of helps them keep that under control. But for me, I don't need that to make me a good person. I realized I was a good person. It took me a little while to realize that was just who I was. And maybe the church helped scope that.
Wow.
But I feel like if other people, if it makes them happy, like truly makes them happy, I think a lot of them, though, are doing it out of guilt and they tell themselves they're happy. But I wouldn't want my mom to leave. My gosh, what would she do with herself? Like, you know what I mean? Like, some people, it's good for
Absolutely.
them. Some people, it's good for them. It's just, not for me.
Yeah, yeah. Perfect. Okay, so tell me, what are your thoughts on, um, like you were just talking a second ago about, feeling the spirit, and I wonder, like, do you believe that personal revelation is a thing? Obviously, Mormonism preaches a lot about that, how like you can speak directly to God and you can get these messages. And what do you think about that now?
I mean, I talk to my angels. Maybe that's weird, but I don't maybe do like normal prayer per se, but I I talk to my angels and ask for support and I've had some cool experiences with it. So, I feel like you can definitely get your own answers and connection and you don't need a third party to, you know, tell you how to live.
Okay, tell me about your angels and how did you get into this belief of like, does everyone have
People
a
get it.
guardian? Is it like a guardian angel thing? Like, does everybody have one? How many do I have? I am very curious.
People are gonna think I'm weird.
It's
Um,
okay,
I
right? Because ultimately, Mormonism was pretty weird, so,
well, I started getting interested in angels because I was watching like Teresa Caputo, the Long Island medium, right?
Oh,
And
okay,
I was
okay.
watching like where she communicates with the dead and so forth. And
Right, right.
I don't know, it just got me. And then there was someone else I hung out with. She was a little cray cray, but she introduced me to the world of us having angels here with us. And so I read some books and um, it talked about, like, you can communicate with them, and they want to support you and love you, but you have to ask for help, like, they're not allowed to just interfere if, you know, if not wanted. Um, kind of oh, well, I just say whatever. Um, so I have 3 that I know of, and I know all their names. It's Rose and Jacob um oh my gosh, she's gonna be mad. Angie. Sorry, she's the most bubbly one. It's kind of interesting because I don't know. Like I said, this sounds crazy, but I feel their personalities and I just talk to them in my mind. But
And you
in
find
this
that
book,
comforting, right? You find that
yeah, yeah,
uplifting, right?
absolutely.
Like, you feel
Rose
like
is
someone
very,
has your back.
yeah, yeah. I
Okay,
just
and
found that,
you oh, go ahead, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I feel better living with the idea that there is someone that cares about us and a higher power. And it's okay if people don't think that. I just found that I feel more peace believing that.
Right,
Um,
right.
and Rose is very much like a kind of a grandma, a maternal energy. That's just very calming and loving and sweet.
Wow.
And I was told that like you could find out what their names are and ask for like evidence. And so I was like, well, hell, might as well play this game, right? Can't hurt. So I was in a meditation one day and I asked for a name and I distinctly smelled roses. And I so much so that I opened my eyes because I thought someone had like literally like put something in front of my face.
Right.
And when I opened my eyes, no one's there, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, well, dang. So I was like, oh, maybe her name's Rose, and I was like, okay. I was like, if your name's Rose, send me some signs today. And that afternoon, my mother-in-law showed up at my door. She has literally in 21 years never brought me flowers, and she brought roses to the front door that day. And I was like, "Oh, I see you, I see you." Um,
Ooh.
but, like, I'm serious, she has never ever brought me flowers before or since. So I was
Wow.
like, "Ooh." And then, I was out on the deck later that day, and my little girl, I don't remember, she was probably, like, 3, she went and picked roses off of our rose bush and brought them to me. So, I know! It was cool, man. It was fun playing games with my angels. I don't know, you can, like, ask for stuff, like, ask for signs and stuff. Um, so
I'm
anyway,
just
that's just,
would it be
like my
disrespectful of me
experience.
to ask my guardian angels for money? I just want
Yeah.
money. That's all I want. I'm
Yeah,
just
not
kidding.
quite sure that's how it works, but, can't hurt to try.
I'm just kidding. That is so, so beautiful. So tell me, like, as far as you mentioned that you read some books about this. Do you have books you'd recommend that people read? Do you remember
I
the
can't
names?
remember the names of them, and I was trying to find them the other day because I was like, "Man, that was such a good one." I can't remember the names. It was so long ago, and I think I maybe borrowed them from somebody, so
Gotcha.
sorry.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Okay, that's super
Some
cool.
people like to, check out Doreen Virtue. Um,
Yeah.
she has, like, angel cards and meditations and books and stuff.
Nice. Okay, so I'm very curious, like, because we're talking a lot about like believing in angels, right? So do you believe in God? And well, I guess you've already talked about that a little bit. You're like, I like to believe in a higher power. It's not like God is telling the angels what to do. Like, are they doing their own thing? And does he, you
I
know?
don't know. I believe in my angels, and then I don't know. Honestly, I just believe that there's a loving energy, whether it's God or spirit or human connection. I've kind of given up on having to know because I felt like I really wanted to know what the answer was, but I just believe that there's love, and I don't know. I don't think it's a big scary man in the sky.
Okay. Well, I love I just wanted to comment really quickly that I love that you almost have this vibe of like you've come to peace with not knowing, which is
Yes, I've
hard.
had
It's
to.
hard.
That was really
Yeah,
hard. That was really hard.
that is hard. Okay, so then as far as your angels go, when if you do you pray? And if you do you pray to them or do you kind of pray to whoever?
I think I just kind of talk to the universe in general and my angels. I don't really do a so-called prayer. I mean, it's kind of more like muttering to myself or in my mind, just connecting with them and asking to feel love.
Right, right.
Because when I can get into a place of love, then my whole day is so much better, you know? You can start your
That's
day out
cool.
that way. Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so tell me with the whole angels things, do you think everybody has guardian angels? Is that what they are, right? They're like
Yes.
guardian you think everyone has them?
Oh, I have a
Yeah.
story.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
I got a little excited.
yeah.
So Gabby, you know Gabby, my she's 11 now, but when she was like 2 or 3, we were spending the night at my sister's house. I left the room, came back in and surprised her and scared her or something. And she was like, "Oh, I thought you were a bad man." And I was like, "Oh, sweetie, you know your angels protect you." Um and then she said something about her blue angel, and I was like, "Oh, what's your blue angel's name?" And she says, "John." And I was like, "Huh, you know where this is going."
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was like, um, I was like, "Is it John Milton?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "What does he look like?" And she's like, "Well, he's kind of short." And I was like, "Is he light skin or dark skin?" She's like, "Dark skin." And I was like, "What's his hair like?" And she goes, "It had like the guy like Atlantis. Have you seen Atlantis? It's got the swoop,
Yes.
the guy with the swoop." And I was like, "That's my friggin' dad."
Oh my god. Wait, so
She's
wait, and you
described.
guys were Mormon at this time, right?
Yeah.
And
Wait.
she was
We
yeah,
were
well, she
we were just coming out. We're
oh,
just coming out.
that's right,
Yeah,
yeah,
because
okay.
she hadn't made it to primary yet.
Okay, wait,
Sorry.
so she was, like, 2, and she saw what you believe was your dad?
Yeah, she said he was her
My
angel at the
grandpa!
time. Yeah. Yeah, and she described him
Wow.
really well, and I just asked open-ended questions like, "What's he look like?" And, she basically described my dad, and I was just like, but she called him her blue angel, and I've heard that kids will see, little bits of light, like, floating, and that's how they will identify angels when they're really, really little, like 2, 3 years old. I don't know if it's true. Like I said, this all could be coincidence. People could be calling me on BS, but I I like to believe that it is, and that works for me.
I could see how it would be very comforting to feel like there's specifically these guardian angels that are watching out for you in
Mhm,
particular, instead of just kind
mhm.
of this God that loves everybody. It would feel, like, very comforting to be like, "Oh, yeah, this" like, there's these specific, beings that are watching out for me. I would totally, like, get how good that would feel. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yep.
Okay, so tell me, what do you think about the afterlife? Like, what do you think happens when you die?
Mm, I am torn about this one, except that I believe that when we die, I don't think there's a hell. I don't know. I know there's a lot of bad people in this world, but if we all understood why they did what they did, which I believe God or the universe understands and knows. I don't know. I don't know. I think there's love when you die. I don't know that there's some crazy, scary place for the bad people. Every like near death experience, all those shows I've heard, the books I've read, like when they say they go towards the light and they say it's this uncomparable love, like they've never felt anything like it. And they say it's energy, like it's a feeling. Um And so that's what I hope. I do believe that so energy is like a physical thing, right? Even science can prove energy is a thing, right? So if we have spirits and energy inside, it doesn't just go away. That doesn't right? It has to go somewhere. So I have believe in past lives. I guess some people call it reincarnation. I don't like that word because I feel like it has such a, stigma around it from us growing up, right?
Wait, I'm curious, tell me
Um,
what you think the stigma is really quick around reincarnation. Like, what's the
um,
stigma?
I don't know, it just sounded crazy, like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a dolphin next life," and that. And I think we move from human to human, energetically, and that we get to experience different things, and I think maybe we choose what type of things we want to learn in the next life, and we set up experiences, like sometimes really hard stuff, in order to learn those lessons.
So you
But
think it's possible that when we die, maybe we have a time period where we can say, "Okay, here's what I wanna learn in my next life," and then kind of, like, go experience that. It's
mhm.
not like, someone else is setting it up.
Exactly. That's exactly how I feel. The way someone described it to me with like past life, she goes, I mean, like life is okay, not everyone thinks life is amazing. Some people's lives are really hard. I love my life. We do go through hard stuff, but um life has been a pretty beautiful experience. But she said, when you go down a slip and slide for the first time and you just fly down that and it's so much fun, like you're not like, I don't want to do that again. Why would I do that again? Like she's like, Wouldn't we want to experience something new and exciting? And, maybe we want to experience life as a man or, you know, whatever. So I don't know. Like I said, it's being so vulnerable, putting all my beliefs out there, but like y'all can believe what you want. This just works for me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it takes a lot of courage to talk about this, so thank you. Um, and I think you're doing a great job. I just really appreciate your vulnerability, and it is hard. It's really hard. I every time I post a video, I feel like I'm gonna have like another heart attack because I just get more vulnerable with every video, and it's just getting way too much. So I understand.
I bet.
Um, so tell me, what do you think you would describe as like the purpose of life?
I mean, from a lot of the books I've read, and again, this is kind of Eastern philosophy and such, but to be able to experience different things, to be able to go through hard shit and rise above it and find that inner strength, and maybe one life is learning to trust people and let your walls down and love again, and maybe one life is learning to defend yourself because you go through some hard stuff, right? And you have to put your walls up and you have to protect yourself, and in order to just make it through, there's so many different experiences. So um anyway, that's again, I don't have all the answers, but I think it's for learning and for experiences, and honestly, the more we go through and are able to support each other, it's like us leaving the church, we can support those that are now leaving because we know where they've been. And if we didn't
Yeah,
go through hard stuff, we wouldn't get to support each other. We wouldn't have the empathy. So I don't know,
yeah,
just
yeah.
new experiences and
That's cool. Very different perspective than the Mormon perspective, wouldn't you say?
yep.
All right. Do you feel like you regret being raised Mormon?
I mean, I don't know any different. So I'm gonna say no. I mean, I do think the Mormon church teaches you some good things. I think in the way of service, um, they do a lot of good things. I think in general, they overgive, and so you're exhausted, you don't have anything left, right? Because there's so much.
Right,
But in
right.
general, I think the service part, embracing family, I think that's a good thing. I think, they do teach you, in general to not steal and to be a good person and so forth. So there are some good things. I think most of the teaching I don't agree with now, but I don't necessarily regret being raised that way. I mean, I don't know any different.
I totally understand that. It's a difficult question to answer because it's kinda like, well, who would I be if I wasn't me,
Yeah.
because it's such a big part of me. So, yeah. Yeah, I just think it's always an interesting thing to think about, though. Okay,
Yeah.
so then tell me, do you feel satisfied or happy in your life with your new beliefs? Like, tell me,
Hell
how does
yes.
it feel? Hell yeah. Okay, tell me about it.
It's so good. So good. Man, I'm just have a blessed life. Like my husband's amazing. Like we have a blast together. He's sexy as hell. Just saying, he's been lifting a lot of weight.
Yeah,
You should
Uncle
see.
Mike.
He looks so good.
Inform.
He's like fine wine and cheese. He gets better with age. Seriously,
Hell
he's
yeah,
hot.
hell yeah.
Um, but he also, him, and he's so loving, and he's done so much internal emotional work that he's so supportive of me when I lose my shit, and still loving me regardless, and everything I've been through. And then my kids, dude, raising kids like this is fun because like dirty jokes, we can watch The Office together, like all the shame we had around all of that stuff, like it's like gone. Do you remember how you
Mhm.
almost felt like you needed to judge people? Because it's like, oh,
Yes, like it was to the nobility. It was noble, like you should be judgmental.
yes. And so then that negativity every time you judge someone is with you, right? So now when it's like, oh, well, you know, like for instance, I know some people who are swingers, and I'm like, well, not my thing, but if it works for you guys and your marriage and you're both okay with it, you do you, Like
Right,
you've
right.
released so much of that energy, but then it's like on Sunday, my daughter that's just turning 18, we went and got matching tattoos. And I mean, hell yes, like I would have never done something like that before. I'm trying to show my I don't know how to turn it towards the camera. Oh, oh, ew. Okay. Oh, wait, oh, wait, that okay. I'm so bad at
There
this.
it
I
is.
super experienced on camera. It's a butterfly. Um, my daughter got a matching one on her hip. But it's really cool because the level of trust that we give our teenagers is so different than what I grew up with, and sometimes I'm scared. Like I'm like, oh, am I giving them too much trust? Am I giving them too much freedom? Am I? But I've kind of taught my kids like I will trust you until you give me a reason not to, and then we're gonna have to maybe set some more boundaries. Like they don't have a curfew at night. My 16 to 18-year-old. Um, because as long as they're keeping in touch with me, letting them know where they're at, I'll text them once in a while and just say, "Are you safe?" And they just say yes. Um, it's it's cool because we're really tight with them, and we have the coolest conversations, dirty jokes, like I
Mhm.
don't know, it's amazing. It's amazing. I can't say it enough. Like I have teenagers and I
Yeah.
love teenagers.
Yeah. And so it sounds like to me what you're saying is like you feel really deeply connected to them in a way that you don't think was possible through Mormonism. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, because there's just so many rules within Mormonism with what they wear and how they talk, and they're teenagers. And here's the thing, y'all, your teenagers, they're going to be making out and stuff. And you can pretend all day long that they're not and tell them not to. Or you can be like, hey, like for instance, I tell my kids, I prefer you didn't have sex. Like you're kind of young. But if you're going to, then you better freaking use protection, and I will buy it for you if we need to. Like if you're gonna be sexually active, let's get you birth control or something. And we talk about everything like with alcohol too. It's like, okay, I'd prefer you didn't drink till you're a little older because brain cells and poor choices and so forth. But if you're gonna do it, this is how you do it. Instead of just saying don't do it. Because I'm telling you, so many Mormon kids are hanging out at our house, um, venting to us about things. And one of the girls told her mom she's sexually active with her boyfriend and asked for birth control, and her mom said no, because you shouldn't be having sex. So she's just having sex without protection. That
Right.
seems like a good idea. So it's
Right.
like,
Right.
we didn't talk about stuff. We just said, no, 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 instead of being like, okay, well, I'd prefer this, but like, let's be smart. I know how
Yeah.
teenage hormones are. I was making out with boys, you know?
Right. And
I
feeling
know,
terrible about yourself,
and
right, at the
feeling
same
guilty
time.
all the time. And so it's
Right.
more like, okay, this is normal. This is natural.
Right.
Don't be stupid. You know,
Right.
it's just,
Right.
I don't know. It's cool because we talk about a lot and we have
That's really
such
cool.
a open relationship. Not open. Not Mike and
I knew what you meant, but yeah.
I. You know what I mean.
I think it's really cool how much, you admire feeling like your kids can be open with you.
Hmm.
Clearly, you didn't have that same thing in your family. You didn't feel like you could be open with them, and I imagine there was a lot of problems that sprung from that. Um,
Yes, you know
you
about a
know?
lot of the problems, but we won't talk about those.
Family drama is always so fun, right? But I just wanna say, like, I'm just sending you love for that, like, it makes sense to me why this would be such a big deal to you, and I think, hopefully, it sets a much healthier precedence for your kids. I hope so.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
I think so.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so I know you've already kind of been talking about this, but anything else to add to this? Like, how would you kinda compare your life now to when you were Mormon? Like, better or
It
worse,
just
you know?
it just feels free. It feels free, and I feel more love and connection with people than I ever have.
Wow, that's so beautiful. And what do you attribute that to?
I mean, I think some of it is who I am. I'm a very social being, and I I always want people to feel loved. For the most part, that's my goal, right? I also now keep in mind, like, even though I want people to feel loved, I don't let people walk on me. If someone treats me poorly, I will have a discussion about it, right?
Yeah,
But there's enough going on in this world that we don't need one more person to like beat us up or point out what we're doing wrong. Everyone, I mean, honestly, everyone's doing the best they know how with the tools they have. And when I say with the tools they have, sometimes those tools are like a spoon to dig a hole to China. But
right, right.
if we can try to remember that and just kind of accept them as they are, you know, some of my relationships in my family, like they're all pretty healthy. Some are not my favorite. Like they could be just because we're on such different places on what we believe and so forth.
Right.
But I just feel like, yeah, just staying in a place of love and I don't know. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
there's less judgment around there and just knowing that we're all aiming. We don't wake up in the morning and be like, I'm trying to be a shitty person today, you know?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
no one says that, but it might end up that way because they haven't, done the internal work or you know what I mean?
It's very
So
much a Disney villain kind of, like, way that we like to think people are, like, they just wake up, like you said, and they're just like, "I'm gonna try to be an asshole." But that's not
yeah.
usually what's happening. It's usually they've got some ideas about how to be and how to get what you want, and they're different, and not
And
all of
it's
them are
it's
healthy.
yes, and it's survival for a lot of people, you know? A lot of
That is
people
true.
just surviving.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, here's my last question for you, but it's kind of a heavy hitter. So how do you cope with the difficulties in life, such as death and suffering, under kind of
Mm,
your new beliefs?
that is still a tricky one for me. I do believe I don't worry about people that die. I don't worry about them at all. Like they're fine. They're good. Wherever they're going, they're out of pain in this mortal existence. And um I think what I struggle with is the hard shit people are going through. That's what I still don't understand. Like once in a while I just have a sad day where I cry for the world. Um, like you know, somebody in the neighborhood lost a husband to COVID, and he's the same age as Mike, with same age kids, like,
Oh
hit
my
very close to
God.
home. And I was just like, holy crap, like, why? If there is a God, why?
Right,
So
right.
I worry, I don't know, man. For the people that are still here and the suffering a lot of people have to go through, that part I still don't understand. All I know is that I try to bring some joy to people's lives and help where I can. I wish I could help more people than I do. Um, but that's the only thing I can come to, is that we just try to help each other. But I don't know why. I wish I understood why people have to, like, lose loved ones at, you know, a
Yeah,
very young age, or have this terrible illness that's just making their life miserable. Like,
right.
I got no good answers for that, except that just is what it is. And I don't know. I still feel like there's universal energy loving us, and you know,
Yeah.
so
Do you think people will be reunited with loved ones after they die?
I think so. I think so.
I hope
I mean, you
so.
hear, like, so Mike's dad is on the
Right.
verge of dying right now. We just moved into a care center, but
I'm so
he's
sorry.
yeah, yeah, and it's been hard watching him go downhill, and watching, like, his mom have to take care of him. And um very challenging. I mean, they go from an adult to an infant again, basically. He's got dementia and Parkinson's and cancer. And
Oh, man.
yeah, it's yeah. But where was I going with this? You oh, you said loved ones dying. Um but they say as people are getting closer to dying, quite often they'll start talking about loved ones that are passed, like they, had recently
Yeah,
seen someone, or so forth. So I very much believe that we get to reconnect. And I don't know if it's just like we go there and it's a waiting space for a while and then we take off to our next life, or what. But
yeah.
yeah, yeah, I think so, because I feel my dad often.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. Oh, Ariane, thank you so much. Thank you
Yeah.
for being so open and vulnerable and being so honest. And, to repay the favor, I'll be vulnerable for just a second here as we end this video, and I'll tell you that, in my life, I miss spirituality, but I also don't know how the shit to do it anymore because I'm so, like, critical of myself. Like, I'll say a prayer and it will feel really good, and I'll be like, "That's just the placebo effect, you dumb jerk." And it's hard. I'm so judgmental of myself. I'm so hard on myself. And so I don't know, I just love hearing about other people, how they're experiencing spirituality and what it means to them. And I here's the thing, I want spirituality in my life. I want to rediscover it. I want to figure it out. Um, I think I got to let go of kind of that piece of the
What
puzzle
it
that's
looks
like
like.
yeah, or like understanding it all. Like you can't understand it all. You can't understand
No,
how it all works. And that's the
I
sad thing, right?
know.
There's
The
still that part of me
analytical
that
side.
it's exactly what you said at the beginning of the video. There's still that part of me that's, like, waiting for someone to be like, "Oh, here's all the actual correct answers," instead of
Hmm.
me just feeling into what feels good to my heart.
Yeah.
Because there are like, some spiritual practices I've been trying to get into that feel good to me and that I enjoy them and they've been helpful, but I'm also, like, really judgmental of myself about it, and I'm like so I really
Hmm.
appreciated your vulnerability today. I found it very inspiring, so thank you.
Yeah, you just gotta let your heart and not judge yourself. You gotta just feel, girl. Like when I give you a
Right?
Reiki session, how you feel.
Oh, yeah. No, I actually I do
Like
love
that, just
it's
that.
it is such a beautiful feeling, that connection, right? And I get so busy judging it. Like you said, you just gotta feel, right? But my brain is like, "But your heart was wrong before, so be careful of what you think you're feeling." Anyway, but, thank you so much for the
Yeah,
video
thanks for
today.
doing this.
Yeah, yeah, and if anyone is interested in real estate, Ariane knows what's up in Utah. Hit her up. I guess
Ma'am, I'll take good care of you.
yes, yeah. And she might show her porn shoulders when she's showing houses for you, but hopefully it won't be too distracting.
Also, we didn't even mention the word pickleball.
Pickleball! Okay, everyone on my channel that really knows me knows I'm obsessed with pickleball, but what they don't know is that Ariane is the one who got me obsessed with pickleball, and she is a
It's on
pro.
the game. I'm not quite pro. I'm playing at like the 4 or 5 level. Still got a few steps up. I don't think I will ever get there, but it's so
Well,
freaking
I
fun.
just, yeah, I mean, I say pro. What I mean is she just fucking kicks ass. That's what I mean.
I got my first gold medal in mixed doubles and 4-5 last Friday.
Oh, congratulations! I saw that video
Yeah.
you sent me. Was that from the doubles? Anyway, that's a side
Oh
thing,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Way to kick
Yeah.
ass. Way to go.
Yeah.
Okay,
Anyway.
that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for
Yay.
watching. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, comment down below your thoughts. I really want to do more interviews like this where we just talk about what beliefs can you start to lean on now? And some people they like totally comfortable just being atheist, but some people they want something else. And I just want to, what is out there? Let's showcase what's out there. Maybe something will resonate with someone. Anyway, thanks for watching this, guys, and thanks to our Patreon supporters, and we will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Bye.